Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking to Marcia Dawood. Marcia, it's great to connect with you. Looking forward to chatting with you. And I thought we could kick off and talk a little bit about your book. Hold on, sorry, my pages were all kind of messed up. You're the author of Do Good While Doing Well. Right. What a great title. I really like the title of your book. So invest for change, reap financial rewards, and increase your happiness. All right, so let's, I want to talk about your book. Let's start backwards. What is happiness today? I think it's so different for everybody.
It is. That's absolutely true. If you actually look at some things that have been written about people who are on their, they're in their final stages of life, let's say. And when they are asked, what would you have ever done different? Or what are the things that you really care about? What made you happy during your life? A lot of them talk about spending time with family, how they spent their time. Very few people say, I wish I had worked more, or I wish I had made more money, things like that. So I think a lot about happiness is like, it's a way that we can use our money to get the time that we want in order to do the things that we actually want to do and spend that time with the people that we want to spend it with.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and I hear you, I've read a bunch of those books and saw those articles too. And I probably will feel the same way, right? I mean, we all want to enjoy life, and hopefully that doesn't come for a long, long time, that piece of it. But we also, reap financial rewards. And it seems like we're in a market today, and the way things are with the economy, where people do need more, rewards. They need to understand their financials, investing, compounding. The prices of things seem to be getting higher and higher. And so your book, Do Good While Doing Well, Invest for Change and Reap Financial Rewards. What does that mean to you, invest for change?
So I've been an angel investor, meaning that I invest in early stage private companies for about 13, 14 years now. And I just got to a point where I was surprised at how few people actually even know that this is something that people can do. In a lot of cases, when I talk to other people, they say, well, I thought this was just for the rich, and I thought it was for the well-connected. I thought I had to be invited. I thought I had to have a finance degree. So the book is really about how we can demystify all that and actually start to invest in the things that we want to see happening in the world, the types of innovation that we want to see in the world.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. There's so much there that you just said, what innovation is, and is innovation big? Is it small? Is it, finding a better mousetrap for something where somebody missed it? What as an early stage, investor, what are you seeing? Is it more kind of the next big ideas, the next big this, or is it just kind of reinventing something and finding a better mousetrap and addition by subtraction and taking something out and making it better? What are you seeing, and where are we going, do you think?
I think in some cases there can be a better mousetrap, but we're seeing a lot of that with AI and how much that has been able to save us time. But I think a lot of what we see as early stage investors is really extremely innovative. And we're talking about, let's take healthcare, for example. There are a lot of things happening today in healthcare in order to not just progress what is already out there, but also to add to it. So, for example, the amount of money that has been spent in the past on women's health has been very small in comparison to overall health. And we're starting to see that really change, because at the end of the day, women are not just small men. We have completely different systems, both of us. And so that needs to be taken into account in all things, clinical trials, all that kind of stuff.
I think that's probably a podcast on its own.
Totally.
That story. There's a great I can't remember what it was. I was watching it with my wife. It had like Amy Schumer on it, and I don't know. They were talking about this topic, and it's a massive difference. But maybe we'll have you on and talk about that one day. So let's talk about early stages because early stage companies. I think if they don't have the guidance, if they don't have investors like you, one small degree can be the difference between success and closing your doors. And so, what are you seeing? Some of the things that they are missing, where they really need extra guidance that they're not really paying attention to. Only maybe because they just don't know what they don't know.
And in a lot of cases, that's absolutely true. I mean, you
Yeah,
bring up a good point here is like, what is it that they need in order to make the company successful? Because building a company is extremely hard work and it
yeah,
takes a village. It is not just the founder, co-founder, or something like that are going to take this, whatever idea or product to market and be able to have it be scalable. So I think that's a key word that we're looking for as early stage investors. We're looking to see, like, is the company actually going to scale? Will
yeah,
it become a big enough company so that the risk that we're taking by investing in the company, we can actually see a return, at the other end? And I really believe that the team is so incredibly important. And in a lot of cases, I think the thing that some teams miss is that they end up with too much of the same. Meaning that if you have a very visionary founder or somebody who's very technical and they start to surround themselves with people like them, well, then who's actually going to execute and build the company and get the product to market and all the operational things that need to happen? So, what I'm really looking for is a well balanced team, somebody who
yeah,
has all of those things that we can then make sure that the company does well.
yeah. Um, so let's talk about a balanced team for a second, because I kind of believe there's no bad decision, there's no bad idea, there's just bad assumptions. And one bad
Right.
assumption can take down a company. And with a balanced team where everyone feels like they can speak up, you have somebody saying, who walks in with a great idea. Um, but then somebody says, well, not really. And you have somebody that can poke holes and you can have that, balanced conversation. And so talk about that because I see in businesses. I'm a business coach, Marcia,
Mhm.
and so I see in businesses where the leadership teams that have the open communication, where they can, poke holes in it and say this and give feedback, and everybody's open to it. Those have a lot of harmony. They work, and it's not about being kumbaya. It's being open to feedback, critical feedback when it comes to the betterment of a business. But and I'm sure you and I have been in rooms where there's one person or two people that change the whole energy of the room, where you can't speak up, you can't poke holes. That doesn't do good for anybody. And so,
Mhm.
how do you suggest that companies kind of get to the right side of that?
Yeah. So, what you're really talking about there is the culture. And when you're talking about a very small company, maybe the company at that point only has 4 or 5 full time employees and maybe some consultants, it is really hard to build culture when you're basically one of the sayings that I hear a lot is when you're trying to build the plane while it's in the air.
Yeah,
And that can be kind of hard if you're moving at a high rate of speed. You're trying to do all the things as the CEO or even the co-founder, whatever position that person would be in. It really takes. They have to do everything, all the way from making all the CEO type of decisions, all the way to taking out the garbage. So, and everything in between. So, I think taking the time to actually think about what do we want our culture to be like and being extremely intentional about that can be very helpful. So if they're in meetings and there is that one or two people that tend to make other people not speak up, then I think it's up to the leadership to be able to make sure that that changes.
yeah, it's great. You're a TEDx speaker. What'd you speak about?
I spoke about doing good and doing well.
Yeah, good.
Basically, this whole idea of demystifying what angel investing is, and the idea that the SEC changed the rules about 8 years ago, and now anyone can invest for as little as $50 through equity crowdfunding. But people aren't talking about that enough, so that people even know that exists.
Yeah. Tell people what that means, so who don't know.
Yeah, so crowdfunding, some people may have heard of it before as far as Kickstarter, Indiegogo, where maybe there was like a reward that you got if you helped a company during the manufacturing process. You might have to wait a little while until the actual product was developed. Or you might have heard of donation-based crowdfunding, like GoFundMe, if somebody has something happen in their life and they need help. Equity crowdfunding is where you get a little piece of ownership in a company in exchange for whatever your investment is. And in a lot of cases, there are essentially three platforms that have the market share, and that's Republic, WeFunder, and Start Engine. And if you go onto any of these platforms and you take a look around, you can find opportunities to invest for as little as $100, $200 and still be able to be a part of that company's growth and success. What I particularly like about equity crowdfunding platforms is they are regulated by the SEC. So it is important that they all have disclosures and information that is similar, meaning that you'll have the same type of financials or the same type of pitch deck or whatever the company's talking about related to their product or service, so that somebody can go on there and they could look at several companies. They don't have to make any type of investment at all, but they could look around and they could start to learn a little bit about what this whole early stage investing is all about.
Yeah, I love it. So how'd you get in this role? I mean, talk to me about, go back, from a time before you were 10, a mentor that planted a seed that got you to where you are today, and um, how you got here.
Well, I always knew that I wanted to help with, making change. I think a lot of people do. As individuals, we think, "Oh, well, yeah, I heard that saying, be the change you want to see in the world." And you think, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be that change." And how do you do that though as one person? So early on, I did things like donated to charity and volunteered, and I still do that, and that's wonderful. But the amount of annual charitable giving in the US is about $475 billion, which is a lot of money. But
Wow.
that is equivalent to only about 1% of the value of the US stock market. So if you start to think about the burden that we're placing onto nonprofits in order to save the world, that's not fair. So we have to think about, how does this actually happen? How do we get to the innovation that we want to see in the world? Well, we need people to know that they can help make change in for-profit companies too. Help
Yeah,
them when they're young and help them to grow.
I love it. It's great. It's great. Um, for somebody who's thinking about starting a business and thinking about getting investors, can you talk about the difference between an investor, an angel investor, a loan from a bank, things of that nature, just so people can understand the breakdown?
Sure. And that's great, because I think it's very, very important. And this is where I see a lot of entrepreneurs and founders and people who want to start businesses. This is where I see them get it wrong a little bit at the beginning, because there is so much to know and so much to learn. That's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, was to help really entrepreneurs. I mean, even though on the surface it is a book for investors to demystify how you can become an investor, but it's also for entrepreneurs to show them, hey, these are all of the different ways that people are fundraising today, and all of the different things that are out there that you could potentially be a part of.
Yeah.
Now, in a lot of cases, before, when I first became an angel investor, I don't think I had any idea how to potentially advise somebody who had a small business that was maybe like a Main Street business, a dry cleaner or something like that. But nowadays, there are so many things that people can do related to loans, related to debt crowdfunding, revenue-based crowdfunding, and even revenue-based financing, that people who are only looking for a small amount of money, and when I say small, it still could be thousands of dollars, but it maybe isn't the million or $2 million that a tech startup company was looking for. So depending on where you are, what your idea is, and where you want to go, and how fast you think you can get there, and the type of team that you have, there are so many types of ways nowadays that people can get to that funding.
It's great. I love it. All right, quick speed round. A book that's had a big impact on you.
I would say The Psychology of Money. I just finished it recently, and I think it is just I'm still going back and having to like reread parts of it because it's amazing.
Amazing. That book is amazing.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I love that money. It should be mandatory reading. A buddy of mine recommended that to me about a year or two ago. It's a great book.
It's amazing.
Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Don't let it be about you. Take the word I and me out of your vocabulary.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Last question. One thing everybody can do to tap into their own innovation and financial freedom.
Know your own relationship with money and think about it. Have conversations with your family about it. Take control over your own finances and don't give that power or control to anybody else like a financial advisor. And I'm not saying that financial advisors aren't fantastic, but know what's happening. It's okay to use a financial advisor, but don't let them make all the decisions for you and not have any idea what's going on.
Yeah. Well, this was great. I enjoyed this, Marcia. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
John.
love talking to authors because somebody can just get a ton of knowledge in something that took you years and years and years to learn. So, think community. You can get Marcia's book, "Do Good While Doing Well," on Amazon, and I appreciate you taking time to educate everybody on happiness, finances, innovation, and how to just take control of everything that's going on in their world, no matter how often they delegate with anything, frankly. So thank you so much. You can read Marcia. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and where they can connect with you.
Really, anyone who's looking to make change in the world. I also have a podcast called The Angel Next Door so that people can realize that this is something that anybody can do.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And Think community, you can reach me at jondwoskin.com if you want to talk about any coaching. Marcia, thanks so much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Marcia.
Thank you.